Hello, this is Miss Briggs. I'm going to make a quick video on some quick ways to get started with Photoshop. Um, First, let's look at the project that you're going to use this for, a day in the life. You should be taking photos throughout your day or your week. You should get about 20 photos, and then you're going to choose one that you want to edit. But don't get rid of all 20 because there's the end project for Unit 6. You get to choose to redo one of the projects we're doing. So if you choose the Photoshop one, you'll have all 20 of your photos already taken. So, or you can retake them if you want. So that's up to you. But for this project, you're going to choose one and you're going to edit it. The two things that you should be showing that you've learned in this is that you can look at a photo and talk about it using the elements and principles and the rules of composition. So the rules of thirds or the S curve, those were things that were talked about in the readings. And then the elements like color, texture, line, value, or the principles like contrast, scale, proportion, balance. Those are things you should be looking at for your photograph when you choose it and trying to use something. Frankly, if you choose a photograph that's already doing some of those things, it'll make your life a lot easier. But composition is easy enough to crop and figure it out. So I'm going to show you that. You also need to show that you know how to edit your photo using Photoshop. So you're going to edit your photo and then you're going to write an analysis of it. You don't have to make comments on the final one. You've already made comments, hopefully, on the draft. All right, as always, you should be looking at the marking guide, the rubric, to help you get all the points you need. So you'll have your photograph, you'll use some of these things. I'm going to show you how to crop it and talk about the elements and principles and lighting and color correction and blending. I'm going to show you most of this right now. And then it recommends that you try some of this stuff here. I'm going to show you the brush tool. The type tool is pretty easy. You just stick something on it. Um, and my object is already a smart object that I have on my um, Photoshop. All right, so let me get my Photoshop on my cloud. I'm going to open my Photoshop. Hopefully you have all this up and running already. Now that's a cool photo they have on Photoshop already. I wish I had taken that one. All right. So I'm going to have a new file. I'm just going to use the defaults. My laptop is, the keypad is not very sensitive. All right, so this is similar to InDesign to get, so I already have my photo and I've saved it. So I'm going to put it in there and it's just like InDesign where you use the place thing under file. So file, place, full disclaimer, this is not my photo, just because I'm not on my computer. But I do have a dog that looks a lot like that. All right, so now I have my photo there and it's already perfectly balanced, but you can see it's not the right size for this. Now I could grab it and make it bigger, but I'm going to show you how to crop it so it's easy to make it in the rule of thirds. But just real quick, over here on the left, just like in InDesign, these are all your tools. But the most helpful thing about this new Photoshop is when you put your mouse over it, you hover, it shows you what the tool will do for you. So that's how you can choose. You can make things disappear. I mean, this is real professional stuff. This is my favorite. You can put a whole different thing in there. That is a cool filter. All right. So all of these over here do lots of different things. Here's the text. That's easy peasy. You can really get that on there if that's one of the things you want to do. Lots of students have done that. All right. So I'm going to make this. I'm going to use the elements and principles and the rules of composition to make this, and I'm going to use the tools to help me. That's basically what we're doing here. All right, I'm going to crop my photo. So when I put this on the corner here, you can see there's different types of crop, or for any of these, there's different brush tools, different blending. So pay attention to that. I'm just going to use the crop. So the rule of thirds is already pre-built right in here for you. I'm going to take this and I'm going to make it so the dog, how do I want to do this? The dog's face is on the thirds. And I'm going to get rid of that white stuff I had. Let me put him so his face is there. Okay, so that's the rule of thirds, right? All of this stuff is along one of the lines, along the lines, along the lines. But the interesting part of the photo, like the focal point, is right here in a corner. And that's the rule of thirds right there. So the key things in your photograph, whoops, my white thing's still there. The key things in your photograph hit the lines of the thirds. And I also have asymmetrical balance, so that's good. All right, so there I have my composition is the rule of thirds. That's done. Now I'm going to deal with the element of value, which is the amount of light and dark. And then I'm also going to use the principle of contrast to make my dog stand out even more, which is almost emphasis as well. All right, so to do that, I'm going to go over here and I'm going to look at some of these. Conveniently, it's a white dog. And you can see that the dodge tool here will make my dog brighter or darker if I use the right color. So I'm going to click the dodge tool. Now I'm going to go over here and I'm going to make my color white so that it's bright. And I'm going to click OK. Then I'm going to go up here and I'm going to make my dodge tool a bigger size. So now this circle with a bar through it is telling me that I need to do something. So when I click over here, it's going to tell me that I need to rasterize it, and that's fine. In general, you need to do all these things for layers to get back to the original thing. But I'm just going to use this as if we're editing a photo, which is what we're doing. Layers, you can, save new layers and start new layers and all this, and then morph them together. Um, that's an option, but I feel like that's really just kind of, my dodge tool's not here. Okay, there it is. It's just too complex. You can watch all the videos. All right, so now you see what I'm doing here. I'm doing just what that little thing was showing us. What I'm going to do is make the dog much lighter on one side so that it's going to have more contrast. This is not a paintbrush. It makes it look very natural. It's actually more like introducing light rather than color. So I'll show you when it changes places, it goes to a different color. It's subtle, so you can keep adding it, playing with it. You can see if you have like, somebody's face or something, you're trying to make them look like, they have better lighting. You could use this for that as well, or the sky or the clouds or something like that. All right, so now my dog is much brighter on one side. I've created more value. All right, so now I'm going to create a lot more contrast. I'm going to recolor the whole background. Now, Photoshop is very, very, what's the word? It's sensitive. Like it realizes that there are different areas and lines of things. So now I want the background to be black. So I'm going to choose this for my color. Okay. And I'm going to put it right over this thing. And you see it's recolored the whole background. It's reading the edges. And this is very, sort of professional. So it keeps reading edges, but sometimes these little things that are like areas of light that the original photograph had will stick. So now I want to get rid of those because now those look strange. So I'm going to go over here and use a paintbrush, not the history brush tool. You can see the history brush sort of paints over something with the same color. I'm just going to use a regular old paintbrush. The brush tool, I want to make sure it's black. Yes. And let's get it to be much um, bigger. Okay. So you see I'm touching that up now. So now I've used the crop tool, I've used the dodge tool, I've used the brush tool, and I could keep going. I could put text in there, write my dog's name on it or something. I'm going to keep doing this so we get rid of some of this. Um, I'm going to show you the blur tool as well. So that's lots of students using that if you've been looking at the drafts. Yeah, I could make this into a whole other thing really with the paintbrush. I could make a mountain or something back there. All right, and then, whoops, leave those sloppy things there. Get rid of them. So you can see, like, if this were like somebody's, like a model or something, this is a very professional sort of uh, program. All right, so here's the dodge tool, and you can see what it does. It's kind of subtle. It doesn't really go crazy with it. It can if you keep going over it, but um, you can also sharpen something or smudge it. So let me smudge something. All right, so this I'm just gonna do a little. I have a small size on there. If you can kind of see, it's just kind of making it a little blurry, just to give it a little bit more, I don't know, interest or something back there. All right, so there's all the tools I need. So now I have a dog in the rule of thirds who's much brighter, has contrast with the background. I've blurred, I've recolored, etc. And that's all I need to do. Now I'm going to file, save it. And here's what you need to do for yours. It doesn't matter where to me where you save it, but you can save it. Go ahead and save it as a Photoshop, and then again, there's instructions on uh, our unit that shows you how to save it as a JPEG, and then you need to use Kaltura to upload it because these files can be really big. All right, I hope that helps. If you have a sky or something in your photograph, those are fun to recolor. You can do all kinds of jazzy things. It doesn't have to be black and white like I just did. I could have recolored the whole thing to be all different things. That's up to you. All right, thank you.